How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back here with another video. I've been sitting here doing another knife sheath. This is for the second knife that I have built for Chase, my grandson. And I've been putting my camera, as you can see, I have a little set of tripods right here. And I was sitting here thinking, man, do they make a camera holder that I could put the camera up here somewhere? And I can't seem to find anything, so I'm going to the garage and I'm going to build a camera holder that will mount to my wall, come out, stand up, and I'll be able to put it right over top of my work area. That way, when I'm beating on something, it's not shaking the camera, and hopefully it'll be sturdy enough. It won't sit there and vibrate around or anything. So we're going to go out to the garage and see if we can make a camera bracket for that wall to go over top of our workspace here, so I can get better videos. Let's get in the garage and see how this goes. Now what I got here is just a stick of 1/4 inch solid bar. We're going to cut a couple 10-inch pieces off of this. Couple 10-inch pieces. Now I'm going to cut a 6-inch piece. We got it to 6-inch piece. Now we're going to do an 8-inch piece. These 4 bars should take care of the bracket that I want to use, I want to make. Okay, now we got a piece of flat bar. It's 1/8 inch thick and it's 3/4 inch wide. And I marked out 8 pieces, 2 inches long. So we got 8 of them, 2 inches long. We're going to cut them out real quick. Okay, I found this old piece of metal here. It's 1/8 inch thick, so we're going to cut a 4 by 2 inch square out of this thing. There's a little grooves in it. I think this was the bottom of a dolly or something like that. So we're just going to cut us a little square out of this. It'd be good metal attached to the wall. Okay, all of our metal is laying right here. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and start cleaning it all up. We don't want that rusty looking metal in the house, that's for sure. So we're going to get it cleaned up and then we'll see what we can do next to it. Alright, now that looks more presentable. That's some nice clean metal. So we're going to go ahead and start welding these things together. We need these little pieces here on each end. We're going to let them go down over 1 inch, down over top of that 1 inch, down, like that, 1 inch. And then we're going to weld these all on the ends. And then we're going to drill holes through these. And these are going to be our brackets that we can swivel this thing on. So I'm going to go ahead and get to welding all these guys on. I needed that one bent at a 90-degree angle. This is the one that's going to go down in the bracket to the wall. So we got that one bent just a 90 degrees. And then these other ones, this one here will bolt onto here, and it'll be able to swivel the camera down, up and down. Okay, now this is the piece we bent in a 90 degree. I went over there and found a couple pieces of old tubing that actually fits up on there, and we'll let it spin. I'm not going to cut the threads off of them. I want you to know that I used scrap metal for this thing. So we're just going to weld those two pieces on here. We're going to get both these welded on here, and then we'll get some holes drilled so we can bolt it to the wall. I'm going to leave them on the piece of rod so we know they're straight. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to drill a 1/4 inch hole in the bottom of each one of these, because we're going to be putting bolts on these. We're going to do all the flat pieces, we're going to drill a hole just like that in them. Okay, now that we got our holes drilled in there, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to weld this nut to this piece here, and I'm going to weld that nut to that bolt over there. I'll show you what I'm going to do when we get it finished here. Gotta move the camera back. I'm getting splatter on it. Okay, what I've done now is I cut me a 2-inch piece of that 1/4 inch bar. We're going to weld it to that bolt, and we'll be able to tighten this and loosen it without a wrench. So now when we go to break it loose, all we have to do is break that loose and it'll break this thing loose. Okay, I want to explain to you how this thing's going to work. This is the piece that's going to bolt to the wall. You have 4 screws that'll screw to the wall. This piece here will slide down inside there. This will allow the camera to be swung over the table. Now, this piece here will be put on here like this and screwed in. And you'll be able to snug that up by hand. You won't need a wrench now. And then you'll be able to swing your camera back and forth this way, and you'll be able to break it loose and swing it up or down. And then the top one is going to be done the same way. So we're going to get started on it. Okay, now you can see that we have this one up here that'll twist and lift this one up and down. That's for up and down. And this one here can extend it out further. We can put this guy just about anywhere we want and lock it into place. So we'll have our camera clear out here if we want. We can go a long ways with it. Looks to me like I'm going to have to drill a hole through the side of this thing and put a lock on this too so it doesn't swivel back and forth. So we'll have to do that, and we're going to work on this top one. Now the top one up here, this one right here, I'm going to need a 90 degrees on this one. So I'm going to take one of these little plates and we're going to bend it in a 90 degree, and we're going to drill a hole here and a hole here. This one here, I think this is going to have to be flipped over here. Otherwise we won't be able to collapse it up. We want to be able to collapse it as close as we can to the wall when we're not using it. So I'll allow it to go up there. So if we leave it up there, it doesn't hurt anything. It just tightens on the other side. So it'll work just fine. So now we're going to bend this in a 90 degree and get a couple holes. We'll drill the holes first and round the edges and then bend it. Okay, we're going to bend this little piece. I'm going to try to do it cold and see if it'll just bend over. It don't look too bad. Not too bad. I think it'll work out just fine. Looks like a 90 to me. Now, we're going to start working. I bit me a piece of that metal. This is just a round, little flat piece of metal, a little wider than that, about 1 inch. And I bent it. I'm going to weld it right on here, but it's got to be welded this direction. So I'm going to cut that one off. You know, this is all trial and error here, so we're going to cut that one off and weld this one on. And this is where the camera is going to be mounted. And this way I can mount the camera on this side or flip it over and put it on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy cut off right here, and we'll get it welded on there. So we'll be able to put this guy right on here like that, like so, and weld it into place. And then we can mount our camera so it looks down on our table. Okay, I welded a little nut on here. That way we can keep it from swinging. We'll be able to crank this thing down and keep it from swinging, to keep the camera from going back and forth this way. I think the last thing we got to do is to find a bolt that'll actually fit in our camera. So we'll be able to slide this big piece down into here. We'll be able to lock it into place, turn this nut wherever we want it locked into place, and that'll keep it from moving that way. And we got a lot of angles we can move this guy in, so we got actually a good bit. So hopefully this will work a lot better when we're trying to videotape on the desk in there. It should work out pretty good. We have it all pretty much together. You see there's our big lever, come up to here, down. It's kind of hard with the background back in there, but once we get it on the wall, get it in the house, I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright, this seems to take a 1/4 inch, it's 1/4 inch bolt, and it fits in there just perfect with that lock washer. And I wanted something to be able to tighten this down like a wing nut, so I'm just going to take this old washer and weld it to the end of this thing, cut the top off of it, and make a kind of a wing nut out of it. So we're going to go ahead and weld this on here, and we'll grind the top, cut it off, and round it off so it'll look like a wing nut. That way we'll be able to tighten our camera on without getting a wrench. Alright, here's what we did. We just welded the washer right on the top of there, so now when we stick it in there, We got something to turn. I was going to cut the washer and make it look like a wing nut, but I like the idea that, you know, I made it out of a wing, or just a washer and a bolt. I had to cut the bolt down. It's a 1/4 inch bolt, standard threads. It works in the camera just fine. So now we're pretty much all done with this thing. We're going to go in there and get it bolted up and just see what happens on the wall, and then we'll bring it back. Once we get it all set up and see how it works, we'll bring it back out and clean it up and get it painted. Okay, now we're going to try to mount this guy up. We don't want it permanently up here. We're just going to mount it up to see if we can get it set up, and it'll hold the camera, make sure everything's good, and then we'll worry about getting it cleaned up and painted, because if it doesn't work right, then there's no use in finishing the job. It's trial and error here. So we're basically, I want it right in here because that's about where my table's going to be, where I work, right here in the middle. So we just got some drywall screws here, run right in that wall. Okay, I'm just going to take a little level here and make sure this guy is level. Okay, that's pretty level right there. So we're going to throw another screw in it. This is where I do all my leather work. I do a lot of projects even right here at this little table. So I want to be able to use the camera, but I put the camera on the table, and then every time I hit something, it seems to vibrate the camera and stuff. I know this might be too flimsy. I don't know. So it does bounce a little bit, but I'm sure once you're not touching it no more, it should be okay. Now, you should be able to break these guys loose, each one of these, and move your camera out. It'll go clear out at the end of my table here, and I should be able to adjust this about where I want it. Hopefully it'll stay. That's the thing. Will it stay? Now I have another camera here. I'll just mount my little GoPro on here. Let's see here. You guys see me here? I'll mount the little GoPro on here, and it's basically the same as my other camera. Should be able to screw it on here, and we should be able to work this, swing it back and forth wherever we want it, set it up. Once you got it set it up where you want it, you could just leave it there, and then you're going to work under one spot. So I could actually bring the camera over here, and if I want to, if the camera's crooked, I could twist this on here, straighten it up, and it gives me a nice place to work. The only thing is, yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good. Once you set it down, you can see that's going to be pretty good for me, and you'll be able to see what I see. I think this thing's going to work. So I'll put you guys on it and let you see how it looks. I figure I'd give you guys one more quick look at how well it's going to work. If you're sitting here and I'm working, I can be working right under the camera. Both of us got the light. We can see what we're doing. I think that's going to work out really well. Well, the only thing that's left is to get it cleaned up. We know it works good. We'll get it cleaned up and get some primer and some paint on it. And I'll have me a nice little camera holder mounted right to the wall. I won't have to worry about moving them tripods around no more. This will work really nice over top my desk. I may even make one of these for over top my workbench in the garage. I could actually make it out of a little bit thicker metal. That way it doesn't bounce as much. but it's not, I don't think here you're going to have that big of a problem with it. So, but time will tell. I could have built it out of a little heavier stock, but I wanted to build it as light as I could. So we're going to get it cleaned up, and we're going to get it painted, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. I wanted to give you guys a quick look after I've tearing this thing all apart. There's actually 12 pieces to this, and that's what we made in the garage with a bunch of old steel for our camera. So now I'm going to go ahead and get them primered up and get them painted. Alright, it's so hard to see that thing when it's in the garage or somewhere else, but on that white right there it shows up so good. I just had to show you guys. It's finished, it's painted, and there's a lot of little pieces to it, but this is what I wanted, and it works so well. I can't wait to get it back up and start videotaping. So I just wanted to give you guys a view of it there. That way you kind of can see what it looks like. But neat little contraption. Let's get it mounted to the wall. I guess that's how it's going to work. It's actually pretty slick. Camera right here. No bouncing when you hit. You got your light. I think that's going to work out really good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty anxious to get to start using it a little more. I've been building a little knife here, and I'm going to do the rest of the videos with this guy here, and that should be pretty nice. Now I just put my little GoPro in there, but I normally put the camera that I'm using right now to video with, but I only have one of them. But I could use my GoPro in here, and I can get it as close as I need to the work table. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to really work out nice. Well, I think this little camera holder will make it a lot easier for me to videotape what I'm doing on this little table, which gives you a better view and gives me more light, because before I was putting the light back so the camera could have the light. Now I can put it back here where I can have the light and the camera. So this is just something I come up with. I don't know if they sell these. They may sell these, I don't know. But I couldn't find any on the line or anything, so I figured I'd just build my own. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, comment if you'd like. Hey, till next time.